All right, this is how you write about informal spoken language. So this directly from some research, so you can get a bit of a vibe for it. Social distance has been studied as an important sociolinguistic variable in the analysis of speech behavior. The concept in its most simple form is a measure of the degree of friendship or intimacy or absence thereof between interlocutors. Social distance is one of foremost factors that determines the way in which interlocutors converse precisely because it is an important determiner of the degree of comfort or politeness or deference in a verbal exchange. This in turn determines the constraints felt and the liberties taken in the speech exchanges, and it goes on from there. So that's a really rough way to think of it. So the basic example is if you're close with a person, your social distance is close. If you're not close with someone, you don't know them at all, your social distance is far. That's the basic way we used to talk about it. So that's the easiest form. Relationship marker, long, short, near, far. You can talk about strategies attempting to close the distance or increase the distance of the social distance. So for example, if even if we were close friends, if I addressed you as dear and gave you a full honorific, pleased to meet you, if Mr. last name, Mrs. last name, that would kind of increase our social distance, at least as a strategy. My strategy would be to increase the social distance. So more formality will aim to increase the social distance. Trying to close the social distance is something that you do through a range of informal techniques. But as it says down the bottom there, social distance is based on roles within society. So if we're the same age, our social distance will be relatively closer. Across the generational divide, that might be bigger. Similarly, if we have the same occupation, our social distance will be shorter, narrower, closer. So if I went to, I don't know, a banker's conference, my social distance with those people would perhaps be quite far. I wouldn't necessarily feel very close to them or connected in that way. So the more sort of complicated or not necessarily precise, but a different way to think of social distance is through strategies. So, a discourse is attempting to reinforce social distance, so keep it far, reduce social distance, close that gap, whether I'm minimizing it or maximizing it, or I'm trying to close the social distance or increase it. You can see how these sort of verbs make it a bit more nuanced, because you're not just thinking about how close the people are, but you're thinking about the way that their strategies attempt to create that social distance. So the previous one might be good. The previous type of social distance that we've talked about, close, far, is sort of perhaps a bit more basic, whereas this allows you more agency to talk about meta language and those sort of things. So you can see the solidarity social distance scale. On one side you've got intimate, on the other you've got distant. A high solidarity if you're intimate, low solidarity if you're not. So kind of those are the two extremes, I guess, is the way we think of it. All right, my head's out of the way so you can see the whole screen. You might want to pause it and read through. So this is from Social Communication by Klaus Fiedler, just to see how it's actually used in the literature itself, to give you some of the ways that you can sort of fit the abstract noun of social distance into sentences and use it in a sort of believable way. And again, even more, pause it, have a look over it, see how they've used it. You might talk about accommodation, comfort, discomfort, all those sort of things, embarrassment, and of course positive and negative face needs are also very important in social distance as well.